Alright, it is a lovely 8 in the morning, and I just finished watching the Dreams. I don't know if it's a pay-per-view, but I watched free via the stream off MMA TV. Good show, really good. The lightweight tournament unfortunately didn't get as much airtime as I would liked. The problem with giving the super fights more billing and letting us see all of them is that the super fights weren't as good as the tournament bouts, and we missed a couple. That being said, I also apologize for the offspring in the background. The faceplate of the stereo is dead, and the clicker's batteries died. So, short of ripping it out of the wall, it will have to play until the end of the CD. But you can enjoy the offspring if you wish, if that is your choice. Okay, so starting at the bottom, this is according to the Sherdog thing, because I don't overly remember which direction they went in, but I pulled up the Sherdog thing just to have the results handy in case I forget a fight or something. But first up, Ishita Minowa versus Bongshan Kang. This was pretty one-sided. I mean, once Minowa got it to the ground, he dominated more or less. Got the knee bar for the submission in just like a minute and a half or something. Next, Hayato Sakurai versus Hideki Moma. This fight was very equal on the feet until Sakurai got the knockdown of Moma. Then he just jumped on him and finished him like a pit bull, basically, beating his head into the mat. And I was surprised that ref let him take as many shots as he did. But anyway, Sakurai wins. I said Sakurai would win. I didn't have a pick in the Minowa Bongshan Kang fight because I didn't know it was on. It was like when I came on, I'm like, what is Minowa doing out here? But anyways, Aoki Hansen versus I always get his name wrong. Koetetsu Boku. Okay, this was a pretty good fight. On the feet, it was decently even. Hansen's hands looked a little slower than Boku's, but I think he picked his shots better, more efficiently. On the ground, Hansen looked very good, though. I mean, he had a couple of near submissions in the first round. He had the back. He looked very, very good on the ground. Boku, he kind of showed what I always see shows. I mean, he does have skills. He knows how to defend on the ground. It was solid there. He knows how to strike, and he's pretty good at surviving. He had a brief moment where it looked like he was gonna maybe possibly finish Hansen. When he started landing a couple shots, Hansen appeared to gas a little bit at the end. But then Hansen just leveled him with a big, I think it was a right hand. Might have been a left hand, but I think it was a right hand. And sent him to the mat and then almost finished him, which I was really hoping for because I think I had Hansen by stoppage, not decision, unfortunately. But nonetheless, Joachim Hellboy Hansen wins. Next up, we had Luis Firmino versus Kazuki Maeda. This was one of the fights that they like fast forwarded through. They showed a bunch of highlights. From what it looked like, Maeda did what he always does. He took down Buscape, but Buscape got his back and choked him out. And this is what I kind of said is, Maeda is a great wrestler, but he does not have much on the feet, and he's not a good grappler. And unfortunately, I mean, it would be fantastic to see Maeda pick up like some truly good grappling skills, but he gets tapped by Buscape. I'm very happy with that. So I like Maeda, but I like the more complete fighter, and that is definitely Buscape Firmino. He may be a sleeper pick to win this thing, because although I would pick Kawajiri against him, Ishita against him, and Hellboy Hansen against him, I could also see him beating all of them, which is good. This should keep it going. My first loss of the night, I believe, comes in the form of Archer Omakamov losing a decision to Nagata. Fight went kind of like what I saw it is, but Nagata showed a lot more from the bottom than he usually does. He had some very good reversals on Omakamov. He lost the striking to Omakamov, but this was another fast-forward fight, so I'm going with what I saw in the highlights. But unfortunate. Archer, he looked a little sluggish than he usually does. Not that he's usually like one of the fastest lightweights, but he looked a little sluggish, and that might have cost him. But you know, it was a dangerous pick, and I knew it. Mitsuhiro Ishida, decision by Kyung Jung, another fast-forwarded fight. Kind of like what you would expect. Ishida had no trouble putting him on his back, it looked like. A couple of good submission attempts from the bottom by Kyung, but it's Ishida. You're going to have a hard time beating Ishida when you're fighting from the bottom, and that's basically the bottom line. Crow Cup versus Tetsuya Mizuno. Basically, like I said, I mean, Crow Cup, once he got in, I mean, Mizuno just got rocked and got sent to the mat and finished with some strikes, so a TKO stoppage. Eddie Alvarez versus Dida. props to Eddie Alvarez. Massive props. I don't think I've been more impressed with him than I was now. He's always been a pretty good boxer, but he actually showed that wrestling background that I said he had, and he showed some good grappling against Dida because he was definitely not out of his element on the ground. It was good. I think that was the key to him winning a lot, is that Dida had to defend against the takedown and he didn't want to. He eventually dropped him. I think he dropped him and finished him, or he might have taken him down and finished him. I can't remember. But he stopped him with strikes on the ground. Eddie Alvarez moves on. The cut looked like it didn't really affect him much. I'm referring to a weight cut, of course. On the feet, I mean, Dida was a match for him. I mean, I don't think either particularly dominated. I think there were moments when Dida started to dominate. I think he probably won the striking. I picked Dida. But Alvarez showing some good wrestling, showing a decent gas tank. Props to Eddie Alvarez. This might be the better at best Eddie Alvarez we've seen. Tatsuro Kawajiri versus Coulter Gill. Kawajiri by decision, not that surprising. Although, is this just me, or has anyone noticed that Kawajiri isn't quite as aggressive as he used to be? He just doesn't seem to be looking for finishes. He's a little more lay and pray than I'd like to see, and he was looking for submissions along Gill. But he doesn't pound away at a guy when he's on the ground as much. I mean, with a nickname like Crusher, back it up, damn it. On the feet, Gill looked good. I mean, I don't think I would advise any lightweight to stand with Coulter Gill, just because, not that he's the best striker at lightweight. He is up there, but I don't know if he's quite the best. I think there are lightweights that can strike with him, but he's just not good on the ground. He gets props for maybe some improved takedown defense. Kawajiri had to work for those takedowns, and his defense on the ground does appear to be working better, but he still does very little offense. He does not have, I think he tried a triangle like at the very end, and that was about it. He does not have submission, doesn't really have sweeps. He's just getting better at defending, but unfortunately defending's going to still get him losing against good wrestlers, and I think that basically sums up that fight. JayZ Cavalcanti versus Shinya Aoki ended in a no contest, and it's pissing me off because, damn, that really should have been a good fight, and it was a pretty good fight up until I think it was going the way I thought it would be. JayZ just wasn't going to get taken down by Shinya Aoki. Aoki tried pulling guard a couple times, he just threw him away basically. JayZ was winning the stand-up fairly well. Something I kind of realized during this fight is that Aoki's stand-up is actually relatively terrible. It's just that when you completely have no fear being put on your back, you can strike a lot better than a guy who is thinking about being taken down. And that's something that I think works to Aoki's advantage, is that he can be weird and unorthodox on the feet. And from an orthodox standpoint, his striking is just not exactly pretty to watch. This is a no contest because Aoki managed to corner JayZ. JayZ was rifling down shots kind of like this, but his I think it was his elbow. Don't think it was his elbow. I think his elbow was hitting his shoulder, and he nailed him in the back of the head. No contest, which I think that is the better way of doing it, because that you didn't get a disqualification, which was good. But only 6 people move on now in the tournament. Now, of course, you could, and this is something I'm going to put forth, is that they could put JayZ and Aoki into the second round of the tournament in a rematch. Since there wasn't going to be enough before, but I assume that there was a plan to bring in someone to fill that last spot. But so moving on, you have Eddie Alvarez, you have Kawajiri, you have Nagata, you have Buscape, you have Hellboy, and you have Mitsuhiro Ishita. Matchups I'd like to see. I think the weak link is Nagata. No offense to Nagata's intended here, but I think he is the weak link, and thus I think if you go with the 3 strongs, are probably Tatsuro Kawajiri. Then the other 2 are kind of questionable, because we saw really good Eddie Alvarez, but we don't know if we're going to keep getting that Eddie Alvarez. We also, of course, Hellboy and Ishita, and of course, Hellboy's a little more well-rounded than Ishita is. I think Ishita's stand-up still needs work. He's a really good grappler, really good wrestler. But I'm trying to think is who the 3 that I really want to see go through, and who would give good fights. Nagata and Ishita are both a bit lay and prayish, and I'd probably like to see them go head-to-head. Other than that, I really would love Kawajiri versus Hellboy, although I wouldn't want either to be eliminated at this point in the tournament. Another good fight would possibly be Buscape versus Kawajiri, would also be pretty solid, I think. Or Buscape versus Hellboy also would be pretty solid. But I mean, watching this pay-per-view, watching this show is like remembering what the old Pride lightweight fights were like, and wishing that the UFC would pick up these guys. I mean, not that the UFC lightweights don't bring it, but if you look at the composition, I don't really know if you can say it's the best, because it's largely American, which is not an anti-American thing, but it's just, how can you assume that all the best fighters come from one country? Anyways, that's all I got, and see you when I do another video.